Good evening. I'd like to call the City Council special meeting to order. The item that is on the business is the rezoning for Blanche, Crest Ridge is before us, but before the mayor could put this on the agenda, but it's under the blanket of a table, it would take a motion to take it off the table before we could talk about it.
Yes, sir.
And is there,
I make a motion to untable the motion. But not the motion, what would it be?
Motion to take it off the table.
Take it off.
take it off the table and it becomes a discussion item.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries 4 to 2 to 1. So,
I make a motion to approve the motion.
is there a second?
What was your motion?
To approve the motion to
Yes, I'll second.
the zoning motion.
And the motion would be, what's the most recent stipulation that would be applicable?
17.
Yeah,
We got a copy in our email.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Please.
Oh, was there a second?
Yes, there was.
Okay. I know that we're trying to get this moved on, and it's not that I'm against this project, but I still feel like there are several questions that remain unanswered. We need to make sure that we've got the appropriate language regarding the alleyways. We've gone a couple of times changing the lengths of driveways. That in itself is one issue. We still have the issue, which I don't think was fully answered, regarding the billboards. And I think, Doug, I've got several questions for you regarding the billboards. We're giving a variance to Traton for the billboards, but they don't own the billboards. So we're granting a variance for a third party that's not before us.
Mr. Cummings, I don't think you need to do that because billboards are not before you. They're contained in the area being rezoned, but that's not part of the zoning itself. So, Daniel, am I correct that the billboards stand alone? They're in the property, contained in the boundary of the property that's being requested for rezoning, but I don't think this rezoning would impact the billboards also because it's a private contract between parties. I don't think Traton owns the billboards, Tim Morris.
Right, that's my understanding. It can even come down is that they don't own the billboards, but, so that means the billboards can exist in perpetuity as long as what? So there's separate things on now what's going to be a residential lot. But we don't allow billboards on residential lots, but this is going to be a billboard on a residential lot, but no one before us is answerable for it. So Traton doesn't own it, they don't own the contracts, they own the land.
But it wouldn't be on a lot. Billboards wouldn't be on a lot anyway. They'd be in that easement.
They're going to be grandfathered.
Well, but they're in that full lot, they're not going to be
Not
on.
a lot, if it's not a lot. The lots are inside that.
Right, but it's going to be on that full property.
On the
That's-
property,
okay,
not
yes.
on the lot. It'd
Yes,
on
it's
the
going to be on
property.
that full property.
Right.
And again, there's something that are non-conforming that basically we're saying these people can continue to lease and lease and lease. And I just do not understand how the billboards are not more of a concern and how we're ready to just move forward.
Can I ask a legal question? We fought the billboard people. Is a permit in perpetuities?
No, sir. Well, there would be a lease, the ground lease from whoever owns the ground to the billboard company, who then puts the billboard up and then puts the advertising, but it's not in perpetuity. Now, do we have those leases in front of us? No. But they would have an end date.
My understanding is that they are automatically renewable leases unless canceled, so that needs to be perpetuity. If you can just keep renewing every 5 years, there's nothing that stops that.
That's true.
I think we need Mr. Moore to come forward and discuss
Leases.
what exists, what kind of
Leases all the
contract.
time.
At the answer, the billboards that currently exist, the 4 billboards that currently exist, do have existing leases. The proposed language that's in the stipulation letter is the language that was recommended by city staff to be included in any rezoning of this property, so they confirm that those billboards remain non-conforming grandfathered billboards, and by this zoning, because it is zoning the entire property, but by this zoning, they're not suddenly considered conforming or legally conforming billboards. So the purpose of that language is so that the property owner does not gain rights since they were keeping the billboards that they otherwise don't have today. So do they remain? Yes, but they remain as grandfathered, non-conforming billboards under your city ordinances. So if something happens to the billboards, which we've seen, tornado takes one down, or something happens to it, they can't be built. So, but the billboards are not what Traton is purchasing. Those will be retained by the property owner.
Who again is not before us and
Correct.
can continue to lease. There is no restriction on him or her or the company as it regards to these billboards. And the only way to service them, as the mayor asked at the last meeting, is through roads that either will go through this neighborhood or adjacent to this neighborhood. How will they be served? I mean, there's so many questions. I don't know if you have the answers.
I know they're not going to be cutting roads in to service them. I do know that.
But they're
Because currently
servicing
they're
roads.
service.
They're existing
They're
entrance
existing
to
today.
what they do now.
That's exactly
Yes, but how do they get to them?
like they do now. Because now there are no road servicing these billboards. Now they at least will have they can.
Will they be going through the neighborhood to get to them? Will they, I mean, they're obviously going to have to come off of Blanche and go through this new subdivision, right?
To do what they need to be done, yes, if they need to service them. But again, I'll put it this way. The billboards are not part of what we are requesting. It's not part of our zoning, because we aren't, when I say we, I mean Traton is not purchasing the billboards. The revenue from those billboards actually just in and of themselves probably exceeds the purchase price in terms of their value.
Right.
So it's not something I can give up. It's not something the property owners will.
And that's why I said it, we're giving a variance to a third party who isn't before us. We're saying Traton, but Traton really doesn't own it. We're doing something beneficial to a party not before us.
But you're not giving variance on the billboard.
There's no variance on billboards.
Isn't one of the variances to allow the billboards to remain non-conforming?
It's a proposed zoning condition that the billboards remain non-conforming for the reason that A, that was staff's recommendation, and B, my understanding from that and the discussions and what that's meaning is that from at least staff's proposed recommendation, that they wanted to make it clear that by rezoning the property for this proposed development, it was not granting this owner some benefit, i.e. now they're somehow approved and legally conforming. It keeps them in the exact same status that they are today, legally non-conforming billboards. That's all. The zoning doesn't change that status.
And again,
If approved.
we're giving a beneficial interest to a third party that is not before us. We don't even know who it is. We're giving a beneficial interest through this to someone not before us. And I have a problem with that.
And I don't want to be in but you're asking the question, I don't want to be in an argument, but I do want to provide some information. So the application for rezoning, yes, Traton is the applicant, but the property owner is also a part of that application. They sign the application and consent to the application, and they're part of the application. So they are in fact in front of you from our standpoint. in that process.
So I would say then, from my perspective, and again, this is just me, that then we need to know more about those leases. Because, again, these leases can go in perpetuity. I mean, if they're seriously got automatic renewing terms, as long as there's no change, what causes these to go away other than an act of God? I mean, we're saying that, we've had tornadoes take them out before. That's great, but what causes them to go away from what is going to be a residential development other than that? We've had other ones. We had the one that came before us on the corner of Canton Road and Williams Drive. And there was a billboard there, and that billboard could not be released and had to be removed. We're saying this is going to be residential and there are these billboards, but those billboards could be there forever. And I, myself, have a problem with that.
Understood. That's something we cannot do anything about.
So Doug, what do we do? I mean, we've got a property owner who will be a property owner saying, there's a part of my property that I can do nothing about.
Yeah, but let me back up one step. I'm looking at your stipulated letter dated December the 4th. Is that the most recent one?
No, the 17th.
Is it, anybody have, I don't have the most recent.
It's dated December 17th is the most recent.
Okay, let's talk about stipulation 14 dealing with signs. Is that same stipulation brought forward?
Yes, that one hasn't changed.
Read that please for the record.
It says applicant agrees the four existing billboards shall remain and continue in their non-conforming status in association with this project only, with the status to be reevaluated in any future redevelopment.
Now, the question is, what can be done about the billboards? Are they contained on the property that Traton will buy or has bought?
They will be excluded from what Traton is going to purchase, because they're not going to buy those billboard sites with the leases associated. Correct.
So the billboards will be excluded from the transfer deed of the current owner to Traton.
That's correct.
And I'm not sure if there's anything the city can do about that, because they're excluded, they're not buying it. Kevin, is that right? They're not buying it.
That's correct. That is correct.
Can I ask you, Rochelle, even though there's nothing we can do, the way I understand Georgia law, everything that deals with real estate has to be in writing. I mean, can we see these? I mean, are y'all relying on a verbal easement? I mean, they'll tell you the property is subject to this easement that they're claiming. We're not able to see that easement. I mean, it is supposed to be.
I'm not saying you can't see it,
But, now, I'm really not being argued, but, I mean, that's Georgia law. This is zoning is a real estate matter. And real estate has to be in writing. There's got to be an easement somewhere.
Yes. That part is correct, yes.
Now, to Ms. Richardson's point, as I look at the outline package, there's the yellow outline of the property, and I see the 4 billboards. The only way to get to them is across the subject property. Is that right, Ms. Richardson?
That's the way I read it.
And back to what the mayor's saying, you've got to have an easement or a way to access the property. It's got to go across this property. that's
And it can't be verbal. I mean, pro evidence,
It could be verbal, but my experience in dealing with billboard companies, everything's in writing to the very last degree. They cannot afford to build these expensive, massive billboards and rent the signs or the message on them if it's not in writing. Now, these are writing.
yeah, so we're agreeing.
Right, correct.
And I guess for me, that comes down to the final, this is why I was okay with the table from last meeting. I feel like there's more conversation that needs to be had. And I personally do not feel, and this is for my other council members, that this is 100% or even 90% ready for us to just say yes. It is a good project, and I am not saying no to Traton. I am saying we still have issues that need to be determined, and today isn't the day for yes, my opinion.
We have a precedent fighting the billboard.
We
I
really
mean, I remember some crazy mayor vetoed a 5-2 vote. And a pretty good lawyer was on the other side, and it did get over. But we just would like to know what the future of this, and what is it within 200 feet, or is it the fall of the tower? And then if we put up, over the years, if we raise it, would they have the right to raise the billboard, if we raise the sound barriers?
Those are all.
I don't know, but to make, where everybody wins, including the developer of this future neighborhood, and we need homes in Cobb County, just.
And there are also some GDOT regulations that I would believe apply here, because this fronts I-75, is that right, Tim?
It does, the billboards are along
They
75.
have GDOT regulations that regulate the height, the size of the message, whether it can be rotating, can be distracting to the driving public, but those are all issues that are not in front of you right now.
So, I don't know how close they are to 75, they look like they're pretty close. Could there be access off of 75?
Not access off of 75. I would say more likely than not, the access is either, when they have to access them, which is not that often, it would be either, they would probably go to the end of Crest Ridge Drive as it currently sits, and access them through there, just walk out and do what they need to do, or from Blanche Drive from that end, and walk out from that end. And I suspect that's what they will do going forward. Again, those will be two very close points of access without having to, the closest points of access to anything. So that's how they would do it in the future.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'll just say, a lot of, I still have probably the same concerns I had back last week, so just, Cheryl's already some of the concerns regarding the billboards, regarding some of the alley, some of the driveway lengths and stuff, so that's kind of where I'm still at. I'm not asking a question. Okay, I'm just stating my thing.
Let me just show the trailer. I just. Anything else? On legalese though, you have. Or if we go back, knowing they can't do, it sounds like it's pretty locked in, by the current owner. I mean, if they don't do it, we're stuck with it anyway. And property rights, so they have, if 79 people want to buy a house in there, subject to this, and I think they have a right, but I might share, I don't think we ought to, it's hard for me to vote for that stipulation that we're confirming something, I don't even know what the heck it is. Or if we change the word, that we acknowledge that it exists, but we have no opinion on it. I'm just trying to work out.
I think this is like a typical lease that you come in on when you're trying to sell a house. You can't sell a house if there's a lease on it. The lease overrides the sale, or not the sale, but it overrides, they get to stay in that house no matter who the owner is.
And I agree with that, but you also, as the buyer, get a copy of the lease. So that you know what you're agreeing to as a buyer, you get a copy of the lease. And what I'm saying is, we basically don't have a copy. We don't know what we're buying into.
Usually you'll sign the lease and then record it in the
We
Superior
don't know
Court.
what we're buying into.
I just don't think that should be a stopping for this zoning, because it's there, and it's not going to be any different. That's not going to make a change, and we also didn't tell them to bring the lease.
But we've asked the question a couple of times.
We didn't ask for the lease.
We didn't, you're right, we did not ask this. We've asked a couple of times about this. And again, we were tabled until January, which would have given us time to get more information. And I will continue to say, it isn't that I'm against this development. But these, as you know, these are the things that come back on us for allowing them and not having done our due diligence and fully understanding. We're saying we're going to grandfather something in, and we don't even know what that means.
Well, I mean, well, these people can't sell their property if, the billboards aren't going away. So, I mean, what if it's a commercial piece of property? The billboard's a separate issue as far as I'm concerned.
Well, one, it's not, because there's part of the stipulation on the billboards, so it's not separate. Just the fact that it's in the documents means it's not separate. And the mere fact that we don't know anything about it, as Kevin has said, the owner is part of this action, but we know nothing more. So if that is really the case, let's get more information about these billboards and what the leases are. If the owner is equally before us, as is the purchaser applicant Traton, if everybody is equally before us, then let's get the information.
Well, what difference would it make if there's a 30-year lease on there? I mean,
It may make no difference, but we will know that. Right now, we don't know what that is, and I feel like we should know if we're going to say it's grandfathered, and literally, if it's a reoccurring 5-year lease, unless canceled by one of the parties, this could be a problem in perpetuity.
Why?
it's already existed. I mean,
Why, it's been there for how many years?
Yes, but no one lives 100 feet from
No,
it.
250 feet.
There's one part of the property where the ground cover will be 100 feet. It'll be 100 feet all the way over to 300 feet. So there's one part that is in that 100-foot buffer that is now going to be more visible to those people living in that one part.
Then those people, like now, this seller of those houses might struggle to sell those houses, where the people that want to be in that subdivision decide not to be in that subdivision because they don't want to be close to that billboard.
Just like power lines. But you've got the choice of whether to buy it or not. That's the way it is with the power lines. Sells them all the time.
Any further discussion?
I think we have to make before we vote, I think we really almost, can you make a straw poll before you vote? Because the repercussions of a bad vote are 6 months, a year.
26 months to 12 months. It is turned around.
But if the motion to approve doesn't pass, it hasn't been denied, and then we can go back to the table till January, which gives us
It's been
more
untabled.
time,
It's been untabled.
It's been untabled.
but we can table it again.
Right. somebody
So
did.
if the motion to approve doesn't pass, it's not the same as a motion to deny, which keeps it off for 6 to 12 months. It just says this didn't pass, and we can go back to table to January, which was the original motion.
It just becomes right for a different motion basically at that time.
I have a question. So, James, so with the application, did you guys ever see the actual leases?
No, staff has not seen the leases for the billboards.
I would like to add, if the motion to approve does not pass, to go to January, we may suggest re-advertising the public hearing all over again, because you'll have,
Yes.
this term of council ends in a couple of weeks, you'll have a new council coming in. It's very possible we would take the legal position that it has to be re-advertised, and you would start over, and the new council would consider this.
Ms. Griff asked for a straw vote. I think it's before this body. We could ask a question.
Yes, sir.
If we did it, and we found out some bad information in the next 3 weeks, how would you handle rescind? Can we, can another council rescind the previous council's?
You'd have to quickly file a motion for reconsideration.
Yeah, for October the 5th. January the 5th.
January 5th. I'd have to look at that. It really should stay, if something happens, it should stay with this city council that's in office until January the 5th.
But no, that's the next council meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But on January the 1st,
It's new council.
We're
we have
out.
some gentlemen that are up in the
Yeah.
peanut section up there, so. That had been privy to this 5 or 6 months process. Which, how can you ruin it? Yeah, I think it's before us, both the good facts and the bad facts. Opinion.
I have another question. Could we ask that they provide if it's approved, add a stipulation that they provide copies of the leases?
That, in my opinion, that's too late. I mean, if we can get a copy of the lease, then we need to get to the lease and vote on it in January. I mean, once you approve it, it's approved. Once you,
No, I'm saying with the approval would be a stipulation that they provide copies of the lease. We'll have them, but it's limited what we can do with them.
Is that going to change your mind one way or another if you see a copy of the lease, whatever it says, though?
again, I can't say that, John, because I don't know what it says.
What would you say would be the worst thing that happened if you saw the lease?
The language of the lease would tell me the conditions upon which, if any, the leases would terminate, which then could lead to the billboards coming down. So if there is an opportunity that the lease terminates with no one using the billboard, think about the billboard that's over there by Home 2 Suites on Franklin Gateway that's been used in 19 years. If there is an opportunity that it falls out of the grandfather status and they can be removed, we need to know what those conditions are.
Well, they've said that they're five-year renewable.
There's got to be conditions for termination there. I don't think that anybody's ever written a document without a condition to terminate ever.
So it sounds like we're penalizing this guy for owning these billboards.
No, we're not penalizing anybody, we fully understand.
But what difference does it make? I mean, we're making it to where this is denied, that he can't sell his property because at some point, this city council or somebody approved those billboards. It's like, so looks like we're trying to get rid of the billboards, but then we're holding him hostage. He might not be able to sell his property for 10 years, and he has the right to sell his property.
Right, and I agree that he has the right to sell his property. At some point, somebody did approve those billboards when the property was commercial, and now it's becoming residential. And at some point, we need to know if these will be there in perpetuity, or if there are clauses that allow for at some point termination, or if he can have somebody in there for the next 10 years and then get a new. There's nothing that says that he can't then lease it to somebody else.
No, that's for sure. I mean, you got a lease, you can transfer it, I guess. But that goes with everything.
But we've done some of these where we have not allowed for the transfer of leases on billboards. Again, the one on Williams Drive is an example of that. That gas station, we said that they could not release, and they had actually already said that they weren't going to, it was going to come down. But again, we don't know.
That's because we were giving them a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, we did.
We gave them a lot, and that was a trade-off to get rid of that billboard.
Yes.
But we don't have that option here. This is a separate decision. And I don't agree. I mean, if we vote down this rezoning,
And again, it's not voting down. If I can't remember who did the motion now.
I do.
Okay, if your motion to approve doesn't pass, that doesn't vote it down. It leaves it, as Joseph said, open for another motion, which could be a motion to table, and we hear this in January. That does not vote it down.
Do you agree with that, Doug?
Yes, sir, all the way. She's correct.
I have one more, Ken.
But it would have to pass. The motion to table.
Yeah.
One more question for Kevin. Do you have copies of the leases?
I do not have copies of the leases. I really wish I did at this point in time, but I do not have copies of the leases. The information I have on those billboard leases is from my conversation with the owner when I was asked about them previously, and so I asked him about them, because those are his private contracts with the billboard company. If the stipulation, we're happy with that stipulation to be struck from the document, if that is something that is offensive to the council, but again, we were following the recommendations of staff as it relates to that, which has been done previously. That same condition is in another zoning that was approved by this council just a few months ago, just up the road on 75. So that's our position on it.
I would say that the
understand
difference
what you're
with
asking.
that one, and I know which one you're talking about, is that that is still a commercial property with a commercial use. This is going to be a residential property that's going to have billboards. And that, I would say, I worry when people make it seem like if we did it in one, we can do it in another. I know you understand this.
Right.
But the difference between the one you're talking about that's up 75 is commercial as opposed to this, which is residential. And that's my only issue.
You know, I like to understand legally if then somehow these homes, will be too close to the, I mean, right now, it's basically a nuisance. The homes that are built will not be in non-compliance, because it's the billboard that's regulated, not them. And this is no different than a creek or anything else. If the buyer and developer is willing to take that risk to work around it.
So,
I mean, just to think out loud, but none of, if all the homes have been according to this, they will not be in non-compliant because it goes to the billboard and not to the subsequent owner.
Right.
You are correct.
And so that's somebody exercising their right to use private property.
so, and Kevin, this may be a question for Traton. Are they gonna make the new homeowners aware of these billboards are not going anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, there are disclosures.
Right.
The curves, that's part of any transaction. But certainly would be included as part of these transactions. We don't have any objection to do it. So we want new homeowners to be fully informed.
Yeah.
That's what Traton wants.
I mean, that's a real estate rule, is that anything that you can see and know about, like train tracks and those kind of things, you're not obligated to disclose that, and they can't come back on the real estate agent because it's something that they could see. But I can tell you that doesn't always stop them from trying. I had a situation in my neighborhood.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just one more point, because I know this was a change from the previous letter to now. See that all the alleyways are now 20 feet. And you've increased while still keeping two of them at 18-foot driveways. I think those are the two western ones. There are two ones near the Mid-80 Center at 16 feet. I'm not a big fan of driveways getting down that small, but I do have a question for Mark regarding just garbage pickup along those, given all that. Given what 20-foot alleys, 16-foot driveways, is that something that the trucks can go down, or is that something, again, they still need to have, they would still have to go pushing out towards the street?
With the 20-foot alleys, we should be able to make that work.
Even with 16-foot
Even with
driveways?
16-foot driveways, it's wide enough the alleyway width that we can get our truck down through with the additional driveway width or length. When they were being proposed to be 8 foot, and they were going to overhang too much, and it was with a short width on the alleyway. But with this current layout, yes, we're comfortable with what we have.
Like I said, I just want to say, I'm personally not a fan of the 16-foot driveway, that's me.
From our perspective, we're comfortable with what we have. I think we're fine.
Thank you.
So even if a car parked, if I might, even if a car parked in the driveway overhangs into the street, given that the average full-size vehicle is 18 feet, so it's going to hang into that 20 foot, you're still good.
We're still good.
I'm sorry. The average vehicle's not 18 feet.
Average full-size.
I mean, my driveway is 16 feet, and I've got a
Let me show
Alexa.
you the study.
I'm just telling you reality. About the study.
Not all of them, I said average, but the
Yeah.
average full-size is 18 feet.
But I mean, you can say that the average
Well,
big truck is
I'm
20
just making
feet.
sure that he's going to have enough room, that's all I'm doing.
Right.
Okay.
No, again, I am not trying to say squash this, it's bad. I'm saying, and
But
Rick,
that's
you know
what's coming,
this.
that's what's coming on.
It's not, it's saying.
Over here, does.
Well, it's saying, why are we rushing this? We had a table, We had a date certain to hear this again. I just personally feel like we've got some questions that just need some answers, and one of them is this, and I'm just trying to do my due diligence. I mean, you guys want to go to the vote, call question.
How many things have we carried over in councils to, in your term? In my term, there hasn't been any, but I know of, to the next council.
That carried to the next council? Yeah, I can't say, I've never really given it that kind of, yeah, I don't know.
But I think that's a convolution that I just don't think is necessary. I think it's a great project.
We did it first go to the planning committee. You know, Kevin,
I think it's February is what I'm told.
This was, that was the first.
I think we're a long way from rushing. I mean, this has been, I don't mean to have a rebuttal, Joe, but we spent 10 months on very few lives.
November?
Yeah, yeah.
That was after being tabled, no, a
A
few different times.
Would that be November?
It came before us in November. It was at planning commission. It was passed out at planning commission in November. I know they had at least one other hearing in October.
November of 2024.
25 is when they had the first, it was when they had, October is when they had the first hearing, I believe, but it had been applied, they'd gone through the application process earlier in the year and had waited until the October meeting, I believe.
But I'm asking when it started. It started way before November.
It was applied for, I think, back in either April, something like that.
Right, it was, the original application was filed this, I believe, this summer.
Okay.
So it's definitely not that.
And then the first hearing before the planning commission was October 1. I just had to look and make sure.
But it was tabled once before that.
It had been tabled before that, but the first,
But that, was that tabled by us or was that tabled by the applicant?
it was tabled until the October planning commission hearing where there was a hearing. It was, the planning commission tabled it to November, and then they made a decision after that public hearing. And then it came to your November city council meeting,
So it's been at 2 meetings.
2 of your meetings, yes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to call the question. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign.
Passes 4-3.
You abstain or vote?
Yep.
Wait, what was
It
that?
doesn't matter, pass 4-3.
Abstaining or voting?
I'm abstaining.
Oh, pass 4-3.
Motion carries 4-1. It passes and good luck. I'd like to adjourn this city council special meeting.
This is a Marietta City Council. Russian
I'd like to call the finance
Don't get public
committee
comment.
to order. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from November.
We do vote.
Yeah.
Vote.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. We really appreciate you trying.
All those in favor?
79 to 76, not 79 to 51. Set the precedent.
Next item is the hotel tax and finance.